Yeah, so it's our pleasure to invite and to welcome Dr. Siraj Ali. And Ali his research focus on boardroom diversity and corporate governance and ESG disclosures in Australian and international capital market. And he has also published well in JFM, British Accounting Review, JBFA. And today he's going to talk to us about the Refinitiv Workspace. So it's also ESG sustainability data for teaching and research. And if you have any questions, so are you happy to take questions along the way? Yeah, and he's happy to take questions along the way. So please feel free to interrupt to ask any question that you have. And depending on the time, so he might also talk about the his PhD journeys and those as well. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And I'll pass the floor to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Calvin, for your kind and warm welcome. I feel very privileged to be here at University of Queensland in the business school and deliver this research workshop training for HTR students and staff who are interested in research related to the ESG and sustainability issues. And teaching Refinitiv Workspace can also be used. If you are a tutor or you want to design new subjects as a subject coordinator, you are a lecturer. So this workspace, I have used it in my teaching. It works wonderfully and students benefit. They can apply the concepts they learn in the classroom on the real world data. Okay, so I have one picture here, which I brought it intentionally. It says that it's hypothetical. Otherwise, the PhD is normally 3 years plus 1 year. So 4 years PhD. But it says that the number of years to get data, 3 years. So you can imagine it takes a lot of time to collect the data for your research. And in particular, if the data is hand collected, and if the data has to be collected from a database, which is complex to operate, which is not user-friendly, you have to understand, you have to spend a lot of time to familiarize yourself with the user interface. It can take long time. But interestingly, what happens when you present the data in your research seminars? You present it only in one slide. You say, here is the data, here's the sample, these are the sources. Now let's talk about the research and your research findings. But the blood and sweat that goes in spending days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months to downloading the data, cleaning it, and making it ready for your data analysis, it takes a lot of time. If not for all projects, at least during your PhD, you have to go through the data collection by yourself. Later on, once you become the academic, you have funds which are restricted nowadays. Universities are facing the constraints. If you have some funds, you can recruit research assistant. But even to recruit research assistant, you need to understand how the data extraction works so that you can set some guidelines and let the research assistant go and bring the complete data for you. Before I go into the workshop plan, I want to relate my experience with the University of Queensland. It was 2013. I came to building 39 to attend, I think it was empirical finance, the class by Professor Tom Smith. I was at the second year of my PhD, February 2013, and the contents covered in the class goes beyond your conceptualization, because teaches mathematical equations and one by one, and you're already struggling to settle into your PhD. So that was my first visit at UQ in 2013. Then in 2015, I was recruited as a research assistant by Shams Pathan. He had DECRA, Discovery Early Career Researcher Grant, which is one of the competitive funding in Australia. If you get that, you basically buy out your teaching for 3 years for the duration of your award. You can do no teaching and you can have no governance role, entirely your research. So all the funding goes for your research support. So I got earlier insights about DECRA. I was being paid from RA. I was in the system. I could access WRDS. All the databases there, I could, because I had to download data from there. So that was my second interaction. Third time, in 2016, I audited a subject delivered by Professor Robert Farr. It was research process in business. I don't know if it's still like this, maybe names have changed. Research process in business, 2016, March to June, there were weekend classes. And I met with Ihtisham in that class. and Ihtisham is my host for my 2 weeks visit here. So sometimes your collaboration can start way early in your PhD journey, and after you can say 8 years, so now a visit is happening as an invited visit to work together on collaborative project. So that was my third interaction, and during that class, we also worked with Professor Robert Faf to conduct online webinars delivered from here to the Pakistani universities. And at that time, we used Zoom, and today we are using Zoom for this workshop. And Professor Robert contacted with the IT team, and we worked out there is a Zoom software we can use, and there is a subscription. UQ had subscription at that time, and then we went for it. The seminars were wonderful, and after that, Professor Robert Pfaff has delivered many webinars. But that one was the first webinar, and I feel privileged to be part of that. So that was third interaction, and the fourth interaction was as an approved tutor at UQ for corporate finance subject. I was approved tutor, I got the training, but the opportunity did not come, so I could not teach. But I came here for a half day or full day workshop for which I was paid. For training, tutor training, you are paid for that. So that was my fourth interaction. And after that, I started working with Ihtisham, and there is another finance academic, Devan, and another Hasibul. So these are the three academics I started working from 2016 onward, but actually it was 2019. Devan met me in Australasian Banking and Finance Conference in UNSW, which is one of the prime conference. People from Europe, normally they come, it's warm here. In Europe, it's cold. So they come here and have a warm weather here. So I met with Devan, we started talking about projects, and it converted into productive collaboration. We got 2 A-rank publications, Ihtisham, Devan, myself, and 1 collaborator from Finland. And I have supervised as a collaborator, external collaborator with Ihtisham, 3 students. One is currently submitting thesis on 25th of October. If you're doing honors, and if you know some honors student, they are now finalizing their thesis for submission. So I had a meeting, in-person meeting with him day before yesterday, but before that we were meeting online and all those things happening. And then I have been examining honors thesis as well from UQ. And today I'm sitting here after all those experiences and talking about these workshops and all those things. I think that is part of the learning for early career researchers and PhD students. If you put your heart and mind to any activity, the opportunities will flow your way. The condition is you have to put your heart and mind to the activity. If you don't put your heart and mind to your research, to your activity, or any endeavor in life, the opportunities will come to you, but they will be deflected away. So now the question is, are we putting our heart and mind together? And just to connect with it, and then we go into main business, Mohak is sitting here. So he is on joint PhD program between IIT India and UQ. So under a specific UQ body that looks after that. And the day I joined UQ as a visiting scholar, somehow he saw me on the corridor, and then later on he came, and we are sharing the same office. So he came and said, "Are you the ESG professor on YouTube?" I said, "Yes." "So have you watched my videos?" He said, "Yes, I have watched," and they benefited, and I shared it in my network, which I really appreciate. You passed it on to me. And this came out of nowhere. I don't think it's a random event. And I'm not also boasting to say I have put my heart and mind to the activity. But somehow, if you are there, somehow the things will connect, and you will then say from where it is coming. And we had a lot of talks about PhDs and all those journeys together in Refinitiv. Okay, so I've spent a lot of time here because I believe that if the connectivity is there, the Bluetooth is connected. Previously, there was infrared, now Bluetooth. And maybe the time will come, you don't need even connectivity. You can share without any connectivity. And things are changing rapidly. So I hope that we are connected up to some extent, at least I feel. So now we can learn together. So we can transfer the learning. I can at least transfer to you. Now you put your heart and mind, you will digest these material. Okay, so the workshop plan, understanding the Refinitiv ESG score. ESG score you can also get through different databases in WRDS. Maybe Capital IQ, or you have Bloomberg, S&P Global. You have different vendors who provide ESG data. But today's focus is Refinitiv ESG. So I will briefly show how they construct the ESG rating. And then we will discuss what are the various methods you can access Refinitiv Workspace. Methods. Then extracting or analyzing ESG data for a single company. If you are a tutor or if you want to prepare a case study on different companies, so these tools like statement view, fact sheet view, scoring profile, sustainability dashboard, peer analysis, climate map, they will be excellent resources to use in your classroom or to prepare some case study. There may be some conversation articles if you want to write for media. Okay, so these are excellent. Among them, the climate map. Climate map is a new tool which Refinitiv have added. I haven't seen much of the researcher have used it because it's new. Previously, research and this climate map gave information and the data about the management of the climate performance, the ambitions, the targets, the net zero targets, scope 1, scope 3, short term, medium term, long term, and they have further criteria, and the performance, actual performance, like carbon emission, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. So they also give that. So it's an excellent tool, which I will briefly show. Maybe there is a potential here for researchers, because if no one have used the data and there is a need to address the target setting on the climate fronts, because a lot is happening about greenwashing. So then there might be potential for you to utilize it. Then extracting data for multiple companies, Refinitiv Screener app, request table, DataStream formula, there are different methods, and each method can have some limitations. Okay, so then you see which one works for you. Today I'm giving orientation, but later on you can dig deeper and see which one serves your purpose the better. A quick walkthrough of Refinitiv Eikon, a beginner's guide to downloading data for researchers. So Refinitiv Workspace Workspace is a new product, whereas Eikon was the older product. I know one university, I'm delivering the workshop tomorrow at University of Southern Queensland. They have Refinitiv Eikon. And if I deliver Refinitiv Workspace, they say our user interface is different. So they haven't switched to Workspace. At UW, we had the Refinitiv Eikon, which we have switched from it to the Refinitiv Workspace. And now Refinitiv Workspace is called as LSEG Workspace, London Stock Exchange Group Workspace, because they wanted to bring everything under one brand, and that brand is LSEG. So then they have different products, and one of the product is LSEG Workspace. Okay, so if you see some papers in there, because if you're looking for data, you want to see if that data has been used in top tier journals, you go search for Refinitiv doesn't appear. Then you search for Eikon, Asset4, DataStream, because DataStream data can also be extracted through Refinitiv Workspace and previously Refinitiv Eikon. So it is linked to WorldScope, it is linked to DataStream, it is linked to IBES, so it pulls data from there. You might have access directly to DataStream, directly to IBES, directly to WorldScope. You can extract the data from there as well. Okay, so this one I think just for PhD students, this guide I have created through involving 5 of my PhD students. They were at different stages of their PhD, and we came together as a team and we produced that manual. And then it was just circulated across the globe, whoever requested it. Then there is a screener app through which you can put predefined criteria and you can screen companies in the entire universe of Refinitiv. Let's say Refinitiv Workspace, there are 11,000 public limited companies, listed stocks. And if you want to just screen companies based on their governance criteria, if the board diversity is greater than equal to 30%, you can use Refinitiv Workspace to screen just those companies, or any companies that have set the net zero target, or any companies which have ESG score greater than 75 or something like that. That again is good for investment. If you want to invest based on high ESG performing firms, high E performing firm, firms on carbon performance, so you can use to screen. And then you can bring some financial parameters. Are they also creating better return? And then you can see whether doing good creates doing well as well. Okay, so these screens I will briefly show. Then extracting the sustainable finance data. So what is sustainable finance? It is the integration of ESG issues in the investment decision making. So if investors want to invest by considering ESG issues of the issuer, then this comes under sustainable finance. An investor could be a lender as a bondholder, or it could be a bank giving loan to the company. So public debt versus private debt. As we are talking about ESG and sustainability, we'll briefly see how you can use Refinitiv Workspace to screen any transactions that public limited companies are engaged with in terms of green, social, sustainability, and sustainability-linked bonds. Green, social, sustainability loans are not there, but sustainability-linked loans. Okay, so I will show you how you can apply these filters and extract it. And as per my experience, this data set has not been used much so far. I tried a lot. I found one JFE paper. I'm not sure if they use Refinitiv data, but that paper is on the determinants of the sustainability linked bonds premium. So the pricing of the sustainability linked bonds. And I saw one paper in the University of Sydney conference last year, which is the financial stability and something banking conference in University of Sydney. It happens in December. There was a working paper presented by one of the researchers. They have used data about the sustainability linked loans, and they have seen if there are sustainability linked loans, does it improve the ESG performance of the company? Because these kind of loans and bonds are for sustainable projects. So does it drive the improvement in the sustainability performance? Again, from my experience, there is a potential to use this kind of data set in your projects if you're interested. And then there are some apps and templates you can use. Sustainable Finance Investment homepage. If you need anything about ESG and sustainability data from Refinitiv Workspace, this app will have everything. So it is a one-stop shop, you can say. It has all the app solutions and you can navigate it through. Then Sustainable Finance Review, what is happening in the global level, the trends in green sustainability bonds, loans, the equities, the mergers and acquisitions, sustainable M&As. So Refinitiv provide those reviews quarterly so that you can extract from here. There is also Sustainable Islamic Finance. They have heaps of data. Sometimes people coming from Middle East countries, if they are doing honors or PhD program, they might be interested in something on Islamic finance. ESG templates are available, predefined templates, which you can download, just change the company. It will pull through all the ESG indicators for that company. So you don't need to design your template. Again, excellent resource for classroom teaching or some case study writing as well. And then for early career researchers, PhD students or honor student, LSEG have Workspace certification available free of cost. If UQ has the subscription, so you can do certification. And I was giving talk in the morning at Griffith, and Professor Robert Bianchi, he said, I saw on LinkedIn someone from Macquarie University posted that I have completed the LSEG certification. And that made me wonder, can we also do it at Griffith? I said, I will look forward to see some LinkedIn post that Griffith students have now done the LSEG certification. Same for UQ students. If it brings more value, then definitely you should do. So you have to see the cost and benefit. Cost in terms of time, because it will require some time. Okay, so understanding Refinitiv ESG score. On top of it, we have ESG combined score, ESG, and C stands for combined score. And it is a mixture of two different components. One is the ESG score, second is the ESG controversies. The prime difference between these two in the combined score is that ESG score is a raw disclosure, self-reported by the company on ESG issues. So companies are disclosing themselves. And Refinitiv is picking up from the public documents. They have their software, they have their techniques, and they're pulling that information and creating the ESG score, self-disclosure of the company. Whereas the controversy score is the negative events reported in the global media. So this is not in the control of the company. Yeah, in some markets, media might be controlled by the companies, but we can say that this is the controversy score. So any negative event reported in the media. Okay, so Refinitiv put them together and it gave us the combined score. And that's why in the literature, sometimes I have seen researchers are saying the ESG score from Refinitiv is a measure of ESG performance, whereas the ESG score from the Bloomberg is a measure of the disclosure. And I have seen papers where they put this together, disclosure, and then they take out the performance from Bloomberg and Refinitiv, and they, I think, standardize it based on the peers, and they give it a name of the greenwashing. Okay, so, but I think the paper is not published in the top tier journal. I think it's published in Rebuff for the first paper, but some follow-up papers have used that measure for the greenwashing. Okay, so yeah, so one part is self-reported disclosure, and second is the negative event reported in the media. And under ESG score, there are three pillars: environmental, social, and governance. Environmental pillar has three subcategories: resource use, emissions, innovation. Social has four subcategories: workforce, human rights, community, product responsibility. And governance has three subcategories: management, shareholders, CSR, strategy. And then ESG controversies, they can come from any 10 subcategories. Because if you see three under governance, four under social, three under environmental, on these 10 subcategories, if there is any negative event reported in the global media, Refinitiv will consider it under ESG controversies. So more controversies will basically downgrade this ESG score, which will be reflected in the ESG combined score. Okay, so now Refinitiv collects 630. Yeah.
So does it mean the ESG controversy is not comparable across country in that sense? So it would be
Yes.
To a certain extent, depending on the media, what they pick out in each of the country, then they are not so comparable in that sense.
I think Refinitiv might use some standardization. In the definition, they say global media. So they might be picking some English newspaper, but they might be doing some standardization.
And that 10 categories stay the same throughout the sample period? Or
Yeah, if they add any new controversy, they keep adding. So they will also go in the previous years and bring it in the database. Okay, so yeah, so this again, ESG controversies, I think now many researchers have used it, but still there is a potential of using it. One of my PhD students is working specifically on controversies. As we feel this is something important, negative event, which is not in the control of the media.
Two questions. One is the method of combining the ESG controversy. Is that just subtracted from the ESG?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And that's why I have a link here. So Refinitiv ESG methodology, it's a long document where they have explained all the process and steps they involve, how they combine it together. And the question that you raised is a very important question because Refinitiv gives only ESG controversy score out of 100 as combined together. They don't give the pillar score, the S controversy score, the E controversy score, the G controversy. They don't give. And this is what we are asking the PhD student to really come up with those scores and say if they explain the E disclosure, S disclosure, and governance disclosure. But there are issues. So the student wrote so many emails to the Refinitiv product team. And because we wanted to see, can we convert controversy and combine it with the ESG score and come up with the same combined score? But there are, I think, still some steps in their methodology they are not clear. But they claim that everything is transparent and anything that is in the public document, we have put it in the disclosure. Okay, so
yeah. Second question. So the ESG controversy, I think sustainability, they also have
yes.
And also the other one is rep risk.
Rep risk, yeah.
So is there any common or different things?
Yeah. I think the specialization of Sustainalytics and rep risk, they are more specialized in the controversies, negative events, and things like that. ESG ratings made the controversies or ESG score. One of the criticism they face is from one provider to another provider, they vary a lot. So they diverge. So then it becomes really important for the researcher, if you're using data from Sustainalytics, rep risk, or Refinitiv, either you pick the one that you can explain that it captures the controversy in a better way, or you bring all three together and see if your test variable or your dependent variable, it is like the results are robust. Okay, so but it's excellent if you have access to all three. I will encourage to bring all three in your data set and then try to see which one is the main proxy, which is the better, and then see the literature, which one is more used in the literature. And to that end, there is a paper here in Review of Finance, one of the top finance journal, which is the title is Aggregate Confusion, the Divergence of ESG Ratings. So this is an excellent read. If you want to see what are the different ratings look like, why they diverge from each other, there could be divergence due to scope. Refinitiv considers 630 data point. Another rating provider may consider 1,000 data points. Another may consider less than that. So the scope could be different. And the second could be the measurement. Maybe the same indicator is considered by both providers, but the way they measure it could be different. And the weighting, the third is the weighting. how much weight they put on each indicator, each pillar, subcategory, and then that converts into ESG score, combined score. So have a read on this, and then see the point that you are saying, which one is better. I think that's still a issue to be resolved, and there is a potential for more research, despite of one publication review of finance. Is to access Refinitiv Workspace, I think most of you, as I can see, you have been using these databases, so I will quickly walk it through. So Refinitiv Workspace in computer labs. Calvin, are you aware if there are any computer labs where Workspace is installed? No, just remotely. Okay.
I'm not too sure, so whether you guys know.
It says from our computer on the top, and you need to register.
Yeah.
You need to, the students have to go to the Aiden.
Yeah. Username and password. Okay.
You can access the Workspace app through.
Yeah, that's useful. Okay, that's good.
Already access.
You have access.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so we'll quickly walk it through. At UOW, we have 4 labs in which all computers, they have the Refinitiv app installed. So now students, to access that, we have created generic username and passwords. So they don't need to go and get the approval. They can use those generic username and passwords and log into the computer, and they can use it. And these are 4 labs. Yeah, so that's good. I think if that could be done up to some extent.
When you mention about teaching, so you're not asking the undergraduate student to log in to get the data. So you're extracting the data for your teaching use rather than for them to do their assignment or those.
Yeah, they do. So it's
so
both.
The individual undergrad will actually log in to get them, and then they get personal account or just.
Yeah, so that's because there are
400 students.
Yeah, so in my subject, just to share with you, I had 90 students in my undergrad class, Sustainable Finance. The subject name is Sustainable Finance. The issue you are guest editing, my subject name is Sustainable Finance. Then I had 50 plus students in my postgrad subject, Socially Responsible Finance. And I've been teaching it from last 3 years, from 2022 till this year. So now if I request the individual usernames, then if you have the limited usernames, then I leave less allowance for other subject coordinators, for other researchers. So we have a colleague, Dr. Bin Liu. He looks after the accounts. Then he communicate that information. I can't create all 90. Can we put them in a group for group assignment, and one account can be given? Otherwise, in the computer labs, they can come and access it. So in that way, we manage that situation. And once the student complete the subject, their account is expired. So in that way, it can be rolled over to the other student. Yeah. Okay, so the remote access, that's my favorite. I think the remote world we are living in. Yeah, digital reality. I think here the mix is better. So we have 1, 2, 3 online participants. And how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including us, 8. That's better. I think otherwise in our teaching and in my last workshop, I saw more online and few sitting in front. So congratulations to all of you who are attending. No discrimination to those who are attending online, and no favor to those who are attending in person. Okay, so let's access it, the web version. I will try to this one. And this workspace, it works better in the Google Chrome instead of Firefox. I will encourage you to use the Google Chrome. Yes, sir. So everyone here have the username and password to Refinitiv? Yep. You don't have? Yes. So the first step is you need to contact Hayden. I got that word. Contact Hayden for this if you are inspired after this workshop and you have to collect the data. Okay, so this one is logged in.
So the question, how is this? I mean, those interfaces different from the data available in words. Is it different? Because I see in words.
Yeah, WRDS, Kelvin. So it is accessed through WRDS.
Yeah, but I saw that was grayed out, so probably we don't have access to words. So it's only to the workspace. Yeah,
directly.
Yeah,
it is not from the WRDS, it's
sir.
outside.
I guess some of the tabs are available. But
Yeah,
all of them.
some of them are available,
Yeah.
but when I look at the ESG one, it was
Oh,
very
not- yeah,
so
okay.
probably that they subscribe to that
Okay.
that platform. Yeah, but we do have subscriptions to the LSEG or
Okay.
Refinitiv.
Yeah.
Thanks.
A good question. Because if we can't access the Refinitiv, we can't get the data. So okay, so here I logged into the web browser, Refinitiv app, Refinitiv Workspace. So now what is happening? There's so much information. And now with TikTok, social media, so many things happening, you just say, oh, it's too much. Just let me come out of it. I'm not going to use it because there's too much, not interesting. I need something that is interesting that can keep me there for a few minutes, not for a few hours. I think that's an issue, a social issue that many of us are facing. So now my strategy here is any software, any platform through WRDS. Some of them are easy to use, some of them are complex, some are in between. I think when you log in, just breathe for a few minutes, few seconds, and then start from the first row on the top, and then keep moving step by step down. Or start from the left, go to the middle, and go to the right. What do I mean by it? At the start, we see WS, Workspace. There are basic things you can do. I leave it to you for your own explanation. And there are three bars here. Can you see here? So that there is a, you can say, the jewels are hidden under it. So if I click on this one, now it says through the Refinitiv Workspace, what you can extract, what you can interact with, what kind of data. It says you have the market level data, you have the macro level data, company level data. So they have given few subheadings, portfolio level, news, charting. Refinitiv also give research on companies.
It's a quick question. And it is all public company. Do you have any platform we can get us private company?
Yeah, they have private companies. Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you in the screen, but I haven't explored it much. I'll show you, maybe you can try yourself and see how much data is available.
Okay.
But they say they have private deals and private companies. Okay. Yeah. So then research, filing events, search tools,
Also,
M&As.
do you have any idea like what is the time coverage?
Yeah, I think you have to
Okay.
give it a bit. Normally, the Refinitiv Workspace, in particular for public companies, mostly data is available after global financial crisis.
Right.
If you go to earlier years, very few companies have the data. Okay. Maybe we can talk about it offline, and we can explore it together.
Yeah.
Okay, so that we can explore. Then sustainability linked to our workshop today. So anything you need about sustainability, it's here. So normally by default, these tabs doesn't appear in the main homepage, but this one you say bar shown. So I have already clicked it in my previous workshop. Normally it is hidden bar. So you don't see it here. But if I click on it here, show bar. So now everything that I have shown, which was hidden under 3 bars, so now it's appearing here. The markets, I click on it, all the types of markets are here. The macro, the company, the portfolio, the news, charting, research, filings, sustainability. So everything has come in front. So now under that, you have different monitors and so on and so forth. And there is a help here, which I encourage all the databases have the help tab. So sometimes I feel that we don't use this a lot, and they have this help. They have the training, get certified, get started. You can write emails to them with screenshots, and they can get back to you with their response. It may work, it may not work, but it's worth trying to see if you can find the solution. Okay, so that's the workspace, the web browser. If you download the software, and if I see where it is installed in my computer, I think it should be with R, Refinitiv. So if you install the software, it should appear in your software's Refinitiv Workspace. If I click on it, it will ask me username and password, but it is more dynamic and it is an app instead of using the web browser. But in some computers, you may not have the app, so better to use the web browser to keep your things moving. I think that's pretty much in the Excel add-in. So if you install the app in your computer, so once the app is installed, so in the Excel, you should be able to see the add-in. Let me see. I think this one is, can we hide this bar here? Should be, it's okay. Let me,
Yeah, more maybe.
more. Show video panel.
Or what I will do, I'll just click on it and drag it to the.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that should be, yeah. That's okay. I think I just want to show here. That shows I'm not teaching in this semester because I'm on study leave. And it also shows I have taught less in this year overall because of my study leave, okay? This is the workspace. It automatically appears if you install the app. If it doesn't appear, then you go into the file and then in more. So there is options, and in the options, there are add-ins. And in the add-ins, you select the computer add-ins because you have installed the software. Click on go. And then here, the workspace, it's already ticked. So if it is unticked, you tick it up and click OK. The workspace will be appearing here. And then again, you sign in using your username and password. Then in Excel, it is also embedded. You may want to use Excel to extract the data, or you may want to use the web browser or the app to extract the data. Yeah, let's keep it like this for a moment. Okay. Okay, so now extracting or analyzing ESG data for a single company. I think this kind of demonstration is more applicable to the teaching or the case study base if you want to write about particular companies. So there are different apps available. So instead of going through the steps here, what I will do, I will go to the workspace here. We already know the interface, what kind of data is available in terms of here. Here you can search for the app or you can search for the security. Okay, so we are interested in analyzing a company or extracting the ESG data of a particular listed company. So if I write BHP here, or any company, Apple or IBM or any company you are interested in Australia, in overseas, you write its name, the part of it, and then instead of clicking enter, I know sometimes we are a bit in a hurry, so we may enter and click OK, then the first one will be selected. But somehow BHP, the one that I'm interested in, is appearing here, BHP Group Limited, ordinary share, Australian Stock Exchange. So this is one I'm interested in. I click. So now I'm on the BHP homepage. So anything that I need about BHP, any data, so it is available in this page. And again, the strategy that I said, you move from here. These are the market, all these data available in Refinitiv. This is the BHP Group Limited, Australia, Australian Stock Exchange, diversified mining, some stock market data points are here. And then from here, you see the overview. From my left to the right up until filing, I consider it the main headings. Okay, so it's just like a table of contents where you are on the BHP report, a BHP page, and then you have the main headings. And main headings are the overview, news and research, price and charts, ESG, ownership, debt and credit, peer valuation, derivatives, filings. And we have subheadings under main headings. For example, under price and charts, there are times and sales, price history, price performance, DataStream, chart studios, and so much you can. So you can click on main headings, you can click on subheadings and go into the data that you want. But for our demonstration purpose today, we are focusing on ESG. And under ESG, you see there are heaps of sub tabs available. And within those sub tabs, the new one are climate map, as I was referring in the start. There is FTSE Russell Green Revenue. It's also new. Not much research is still available. Maybe the data is very limited so as well. EU taxonomy, it's also new. So these three are new, whereas others are there for a longer time. Okay, so you can click on any of them and analyze BHP or any company you're interested in. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this ESG. The first, the main heading, I'm just clicking on it. So it will open these subheadings and will give me all the subheadings in the row format. You see under ESG, previously it was a drop down. So after clicking on ESG, now we have all the subheadings appearing in the user interface. So it starts with the sustainability dashboard, ESG statement, ESG factsheet, ESG scoring profile, peer analysis, and so on and so forth. From here, the one that I normally demonstrate in the workshops is the ESG statement, because this is the one that gives you all the indicators under the ESG combined score of the Refinitiv, and you can download the data in one click of one company. Okay, maybe not that much applicable for research purpose where you need data for many companies in bulk download, but excellent resource for classroom and for one single company analysis. You click download, it's there, put it in your folder, and you can use it later on for your purpose. Yes, I clicked on ESG statement. So here is the statement view. So again, under the statement, if I just scroll down, there is so much information. So I start left to right. So left to right, on left, we have filters. So you can filter this report based on pillars, environmental, social, governance, controversies. You can filter based on standardized view or as reported by the company, the raw indicators. You can also increase the number of years, because currently it is showing 5 years, but you can bring more years as well. Then you want component all matrices, or you only need scoring components only. If you recall, in the ESG combined score calculation, Refinitiv collects 630 plus data points, and of which they use around 186 data points, which are comparable within the same industry to come up with the combined score. So if you select this scoring component only, then here only the components with the trophy sign will appear. And as it is saying here, this trophy sign represents scoring measure. So it means they have been considered in the rating, in the ESG rating. Okay. So that's another. Then you have the latest to oldest. You can flip around this statement. You can also hide unpopulated rows, the rows where no data is available. So if no data is available, you can hide them, and you can only work on data, the rows where data is available. And you can also move around between partial and complete statements. So you see the latest statement that is appearing for BHP is 2022. If I have to use it in the classroom, 2022 is a bit old. So now 2 years have passed. So normally I encourage students to click on this initial include partial reports and also consider it in the evaluation of the company ESG performance. So I have clicked on initial include partial scores. So now you will see 2023 and 2024 has also been added. So for assignments, for your latest analysis, this can be done. Okay, so these filters, let's say we are happy with these filters. Another thing I do, let's say in the statement view, I keep scrolling down. There is too much. So you may be lost at first sight. So normally what I do is, you see here, expand all and collapse all option here at the bottom. So I say collapse all. So now under the environmental pillar, we have 3 subcategories. Their ratings are appearing. And on top of it, this one remains stable. So if you change any of these, so this one is fixed because it has ESG combined score, then ESG score, ESG controversy score, E pillar, S pillar, governance pillar. And as I was saying, Refinitiv use some weights. So you see the weight given to environmental pillar is 35.2%, social pillar 40.2%, governance pillar 24.6%. So now these weights change if you change the industry. So if you change BHP to AGL, AGL is from energy. So you will see the environmental pillar has more weighting than other pillars. If you move it to consumer staples, social pillar will have more weighting. And in some of the industries, governance pillar will have more weighting. And that's why the rating can diverge from one provider to another, because Refinitiv give rating based on their beliefs and values and their research, and the Sustainalytics, RepRace, Bloomberg, S&P Global, different databases, they use their own ratings.
So
Yes.
Incomplete, what is incomplete? That there seems to have the data. So what is incomplete here?
Yeah, it could be the possibility they are still verifying and making sure that everything is working appropriately. So they have the audit process. And normally it takes time because the public companies, they release the data for 2024. So financial year, there will be data in the annual report. Sustainability report will have data, and some of the data will be available earlier. So it could be possibility, we can check their methodology, that as more information is coming and the audit process is complete, and then they change the incomplete or partial reports to complete.
Is it possible the data to be changed once everything is complete?
Yeah, could be.
Could be.
I think that could be the possibility. I haven't checked it. Maybe we can check it with Refinitiv.
For the 2023, because this is the last year of my sample size, so it may ask when the data for the 2023 will be processed completely.
Yeah, that one, if you bulk download the data from Screener app, which I'm going to show, the 2023, most of the data is NA.
Yeah.
I think in some of the market, it might have been populated. In other market, it says not available. So that could be the reason for bulk download. Refinitiv do not give the incomplete information. Okay? Yeah. But that's good thing. I think most of my PhD student, they're doing, if they're collecting data from Refinitiv, their sample period is 2022. One honor student here, he used the data. I think he went to 2023 because his data was related to the waste management practices and the loan pricing. So yeah, but that's a good question. Yeah, so that should be considered. So I think if we have to download it, so there is Excel tab here. So if I click on Excel, export as values or as formulas, let's download as values. So the Excel file will be downloaded. It's good to see many students are using ESG data for their research. I think that's good. I'm really enjoying it because if there is a thirst there, it's good for someone to engage. Otherwise, if it just become just a talk and there's no tangible output coming. So I would love to hear your journeys through your supervisors directly. If you face any technical issues, I think first point of contact, your supervision team. But if anything I can assist, just technical, voluntarily, please feel free to contact. Free of charge consultation. And not charge anything. Okay, I think that might have been downloaded here. I don't know if it is downloaded now or it was downloaded when I was giving workshop. Yeah, so all the data, so this is the environmental data in one tab, social data in another tab, governance, all the subcategories, and under that, controversies, everything have been downloaded. So one thing I mentioned it in my previous workshop, I said, once you download this data, you can also use this Excel spreadsheet to see if that variable or indicator is available in ESG in Refinitiv or not. For example, one of my PhD students is doing research on anything in the Refinitiv ESG score that is linked to the suppliers. So we just want to see if the supplier attention of the company in terms of ESG improves, whether the banks, when they give the loan, whether they consider it in their loan pricing. It's still in the early phase, but one thing that we did, we searched for supplier in the Refinitiv in the Excel spreadsheet, and we identified, yes, for example, there is supplier ESG training. We identified filings from suppliers monitoring, supplier policy, animal welfare. Yeah. So, and then we went to environmental, went to governance. We just focused on that to see if it explains, because the issue in the modern slavery and the supplier side, that is a very hot issue nowadays.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Regarding the credibility of the data point, is this the data point extracted from the British disclosure or the public?
Yeah, so Refinitiv says they have collected this data through the publicly available data sources. For example, the definition that we see here, I think another thing you can see, with all these data points here, so Refinitiv have this I sign here. So you bring the cursor on the I sign, you see the definition. So what it says for ESG, it is based on self-reported information in the environmental, social, and governance pillars. And if you go to the ESG methodology of the Refinitiv, you can see what data sources they use. They have listed everything there. Okay, so I think that's the ESG statement view. Let me see if there is something here under the subcategory resource use. You see this is a graph sign. So if I click on this graph sign, I can also see how BHP is performing compared to the other players in the same industry. So it's the metal and mining. So 6.67% have no policy on this, I think, water efficiency. whereas 93.33% have a policy on water efficiency. Because it's a mining company, so water issue is important. So mostly mining companies have it. And let's say BHP, for BHP, so it has 2 here, but in incomplete, it's blank. So might be later on it's populated, but if you go to 2022, it has it. So that's another thing. With each indicator, you can also see how the company is performing given the particular industry. And then you see some of the text is blue and some of the text is white. So it means there is a hyperlink attached to it. For water efficiency, let me come here, policy water efficiency. If I click on this hyperlink, so Refinitiv provide the source document, links to your question from where this information is coming. So then you can verify it. Some of the links can work, some of the links may not work because sometimes the companies may change their URL or they move information from one to another. So that could be possibility, but they have given the abstract as well to ensure that why they have put yes for BHP on water efficiency policy. And you can click on it, it's coming from sustainability report. Okay? Some information comes from annual report, some from other filings. So that's pretty much for ESG statement. I think sometimes I feel I might be culprit of that when I was doing PhD. We straight away go into the bulk data and without looking at individual companies, individual sectors, we try to do the analysis, regression analysis and try to make sense. But I encourage myself and my PhD students now, before you do that, maybe know how each and individual companies are performing. And maybe that could be anecdotal evidence you can use in your motivation, the first paragraph, first few sentences. So that could be something, because now research, I think it should have been from a long time. There is more push of the industry relevance of your research. We say that I publish A-star paper. The first hurdle is A-star paper or A-rank paper or top tier paper. The second hurdle is where is the industry impact, the real world impact. So as you climb up in your ladder from PhD to lecturer to senior lecturer to associate professor to professor, the bar will keep increasing from publication to impact and industry engagement. Okay, so there are other tools which you can view on your own. And there are some online tutorials for each sub-tools which you can use. Yeah, I think I mentioned that I will quickly touch on climate map. Just briefly, climate map, because it's new, I feel there is a potential for this data to be used. There are again filters, and there is an output based on filters. But again, under the climate map, the first row is saying there is a sub-tab management, ambition, and the performance. So management of the climate issues, the targets and ambitions on the climate issues, and the performance relative to the targets. Yes.
So under the management application tab, and there is a database called the CDP.
Yeah.
And the Refinitiv has a full access to this CDP database.
Yeah, so this one, because this is completely new. Yeah. CDP was not part of the Refinitiv previously. CDP, you need different subscription. I don't know, through WRDS, but it requires different subscription. And CDP is voluntary participation of the companies in the climate disclosure. So CDP, they circulate the survey to many companies. Some will participate, some will not participate. Mm-hmm. So in my latest publication in British Accounting Review, which came just a couple of months ago, we use the data from CDP, carbon emissions data. Yeah, not from Refinitiv, because my collaborator had access to CDP. Yeah, so CDP now data, I'm not sure if bulk download is available, but you can use it a bit and see if the bulk download of the CDP disclosure available through Refinitiv. If not, then you have to purchase the different subscription. But yeah, let's see here. Ambitions. Yeah, you can select CDP. And there are targets appearing here. Yeah, still I think they are populating some missing observations, but it's worth looking at this app because it just released recently. Okay, so that was about individual companies. So now we move into downloading the data for bulk, for your research. Going down, extracting data for multiple companies using the Refinitiv Screener app. So there are different methods. I'll see, depending on the time, how many methods we can cover. So method one is we want to extract ESG scores of US listed firms for the last 3 years. And I put the years 2020 to 2022. So now you can so I selected one variable, you can select 10, 20 variables. You can select environmental pillar, social pillar, governance pillar. You can select subcategories. You can select any specific matrices. So it's up to you. So if we just focus on ESG score, and I have selected the US listed firms, so you can select the global listed firms in Refinitiv. So after this, it will become easy. I selected 3 years. You can select sample period relative to your project, 10 years, 15 years. It's up to you. You can use that. Okay, instead of going through the steps here, I'll go into the Refinitiv workspace here. So first thing, we need to launch the screener app. Okay, so screener, I'm writing screener here. So here is the app, the screener app I'm looking at. Click on it. Anyone in this room have watched my videos or have used this screener app? Mohak, you know? Anyone else? No, not yet. Okay, then you will find the value out of it. Okay, so let me see. Let me go back to the create new screen. So when you log in to the Refinitiv Workspace, we have also already followed that step. We want to extract the data for US listed firms, ESG scores for 3 years. That's our example. You can build on it later. You log in, go to the screener app. So now we are in the screener app. And what was the strategy I was giving? Once you're on the screener app, just see how the interface look like. It looks very basic. On the left-hand side, we have different screens based on which we can get the results in the report section. So currently, report section is empty. Once we apply the screens, the report section will give us the result. And result here is our data on ESG for US listed firms over the 3-year period. That is what our focus is. You see here screen, and next to screen, what do you see? Next to the screen, what is this? Question mark? I think often we don't click on it. Okay, so if you click on it, what it brings? I don't know if it brings something. Anything you need about screener app, you need to learn about screener app. So the help material will be available here. You see, it says screening for equities, export equity reports, screening for private equities. This was the question someone was asking. So have a look at it. I haven't used it. Maybe in the future I do it and prepare some public tutorial. Private companies frequently ask questions. Let's say if I click on it, click on it, getting started, yeah, something like that. And they have the contents available. You can click on that. I think that should be the starting point. You train yourself for this screener app guide. Once you know, then you are expert. Then you know how to use it. So I go back to the screener app. So I encourage that you use this question mark and train yourself. And under that, see the currency USD. You can select other currencies, but normally the ESG data is non-financial data. So currency becomes not relevant. So if some of the sustainability data is converted into material impact, then it might become important. But normally the ESG data is a non-financial data. You can keep USD as it is. And then universe, public companies. Under it, it says private companies. Okay, so you can screen companies, public and private together, ownership, officer and director, deals, private equity, hyper funds. So it also have funds level data. So now as our focus is the public companies, I'm not going into others, but I encourage you to explore it on your own. So now under it, under the universe, we have include active, public, primary. So this is what by default. But if I click on this edit, I can also bring inactive securities. And I can say instead of primary, all issues. So again, I leave it to you to explore yourself. So I keep everything as it is. And there was an option dual listing as well. You can click on that. But again, you try hit and trial and learn what output it brings based on those changes. So I keep it as it is. Then include indices, list, portfolios, screen stocks. So we are interested in the list of US companies. So we need that. For that, here is a click edit option. So I click on edit. And dialog box open, and then there are 3 dots here. You click on those 3 dots, it will open a new interface. So after edit, new dialog box, you click on 3 dots, a new interface opens. In the new interface, when I delivered few workshops previously, the way because our first task is we want to identify list of US companies. Once we have that list, then we can pull out the data for those companies, ESG data for 3 years. So we are currently at the first task, list of US companies. So when I delivered the talk, previous talks, if I search here Refinitiv ESG, all the indices which are relevant to global markets will appear in that, and I could use it. But as soon as I released the tutorial to public, few queries came that we repeated your steps, but the data is not coming. Then I said, what happened? I looked at that, then I tried several things. Then I figured out that Refinitiv have changed the names of their indices. So they have now put FR, I don't know what FR stands for, FR and then the country name. And within that, the list of companies are included. So to extract that, normally I click on all indices first. And then once they are loaded, then I write here FR, because Refinitiv have added FR word with their indices. So I want to just bring those indices. Once it loads. So now you can imagine it's taking time. The data extraction takes time. Okay, so now some of the FR codes are appearing, not everyone. The third thing I do is in the owner column, I filter for LSEG indices. LSEG are Refinitiv indices. I click done. So now all LSEG indices are appearing here. Your question may come, on which basis they have constructed these indices. Again, you can check their methodology. But in your research, if you explain the process that your sample contains the securities listed in the LSEG index, the transparency is the key here. But if you're interested in only in S&P 100 or you want to focus on S&P 300, ASX 200, then you need the Eisen codes for them. And if time permits, in one of the method, I will show if you have set of specific companies for which you need data from Refinitiv, you can also extract that. Okay? But for here, they have their indices. So we are interested in the FR United States. So let's see how many companies are included, 500. So we can use that. Before I do that, you see some stars here, they are blue. So I have selected some of my favorite indices for my future use. So anytime I come to this point, I click on these favorite indices because I have already added them to my favorite. And all the relevant index to my global data set are appearing here. So I don't need to repeat that step. Click on all indices, click on FR, filter for LSEG indices. Because this is interactive platform, sometimes the step may not work, but the step that have worked for me, I have given to you 3 steps. All indices, FR, filter the owner column for LSEG indices. So again, you can select from here, FR United States. Once I have selected it, it's appearing here, FR United. And at the bottom right, you see the OK option. So again, it is hidden somewhere at the bottom. So sometimes we may not get it and we say that it's not worth using this workspace. So you need to pay attention to those things. Click OK. So now it is loaded here. You can also add multiple indices in one go. But if you do that, you need to be considerate that Refinitiv allows you to bring 5,000 securities or listed stocks at one time. So like FR Global, they have 11,000 companies. If I use that and bring it to my screen, so it will say, give me the warning that you have exceeded the limit. So then I have to apply some filters to bring the list to less than 5,000. Okay, so that's another thing. Okay, so FR United States, of course, it has 500 companies. So 500 companies will be loaded. One question I haven't responded to my public tutorials. Many users have recently asked. I will have to search for it and do some train myself as well. Because sometimes you want to extract companies which are S&P 500 on a particular date, like 2015 or 2020. Yeah, it can be either way. Sometimes you want S&P 500 in each years, and then you just consider the unique companies. And during your sample period, S&P 500 may look like S&P 600 due to rebalancing. And sometimes you want to include in your sample S&P 500 at the start of your sample. You may say you want to consider S&P 500 at the end of your sample. It depends on which one you want to justify and which one is more appropriate for you. Again, sampling strategies apply there. Okay, so maybe some tutorials I will create after finding the exact solution for that. But at this stage, we have S&P 500 companies. They have been listed here. So we have got that list. So normally for my research, I exclude financial companies. Now how I can exclude those financial companies? So now on the left-hand side, we are done with the universe. Now in the quick filters, Refinitiv have quick filters. I can apply some quick filters. For example, gigs industry name, I can add that filter. So it says whether I want to include or exclude. I'm saying I want to exclude. If I say include, I have to select all other industries. But if I say exclude, and if I click here, only I click financials and I exclude financials. If you are interested in doing research only on financial companies, only on banks, you can also apply this quick filter and extract only the banks in United States. And if you have screen FR Global, which is 10,000 plus companies or 11,000 companies, and you only want to extract only the banks regardless of any country. So you can apply that filter and say only give me the banks, and then you can extract the information. Okay, so 423, and you can apply more filters if you want to finalize your screen. So that's done. Then another thing that we want to add, some static information. One of the static information that I normally add for all my data sets is the unique identifiers. For example, ISIN code. If you have to merge this data set from Refinitiv with the data set from other database, you need common identifier. And sometimes common identifiers are not available. Then you have to find the way how you can link from one identifier to another, and then you can match it together. So again, you have to encounter those issues and try to find the solution. But normally ISIN code is available. I know Compustat doesn't have ISIN code, it has GV key. Yeah. So see how you can address this issue, but I leave it to you and to your supervision team. And then QSIP is available. QSIP extended and code, so you can select one. And you can keep adding some of the identifiers. And if you're not sure, then there is the launch data item library. So I was searching here. Let's say if I search GV key, so it doesn't come. You can search for something, ID, it might come something. But you can also launch this data item library. And on the left-hand side, there should be, if I can see, yeah, sometimes they give the identifier. Yeah, references and identifiers. So you can also come here and see, for example, this identifiers 35. And these are the identifier Refinitiv have. So if you are concerned whether they have the identifier, just come here. They have RIC code. That's very important. Sometimes within the Refinitiv Workspace, you may not get ISIN if you use different method. For example, loan transactions, the ISIN codes are not available there because the transaction level data is not available. Then maybe RIC, some other identifier you may need to link two different data sets from the Refinitiv Workspace. Ticker, yeah, just have a look on your own. But if you search here, it will also give you the suggestion. But you can also launch the data library. So now we are done with basics. We have got the company name, their RIC identifier, ISIN code, QSIP. The next step is the ESG data. So I click on this launch data item library. So under that, again, this library has 4 different features. One is the categories. You see here categories. Second is you can search. Instead of going to categories, you can search here. And third is parameters. And fourth is the definition, because you want to see whether the variable that you are putting, a data type you're putting, selecting, it matches your definition. So we are interested in ESG, but there are other variables also available. You can have a look. Under ESG, we are interested in ESG analytics. And under that, Refinitiv ESG Score, because our example is ESG Score. So I have clicked on that. And all the, I think 32 scores and grades are appearing here in this. So we are interested in ESG score, this one. So I just clicked on ESG score. So it has enacted this add. But before I add to my list, I want to make sure this is the same variable I'm interested in. So I can read the definition. For example, if I click on grade or any other, the definition will change. So I just want to make sure that I'm collecting the right data. So ESG score. So I can add, before I add, there are parameters available. So so because we are interested in downloading data for 3 years. So ideally this series should be done. We collect series and then we collect the data for 3 years. But the potential issue here is Refinitiv will download the data for 3 years FY0 for the base year, FY-1, FY-2. So now within FY0, there is a chance that one company data is of 2022, another company data is of 2023. So there's a mismatching. So you may have to then bring the date on which the data is collected in FY0 and then sort out manually to come up with the data in one column pertaining to the same financial year. In the second column, same financial year. I have explained this issue in my online tutorials. I don't think that the Refinitiv have addressed this issue. I contacted them. They said we are working on it. If they fix this issue, Refinitiv Workspace Screener app will become very easy to download the data, maybe very quick. Maybe they don't want that because otherwise collect data very quickly and then we don't need Refinitiv Workspace anymore because just one couple of days, everything is sorted. So I will give you one strategy to overcome that issue in a moment to come. So instead of clicking series, normally what I do in financial periods, I specify, I delete this 0 and I say 2022. So that's something. And again, there are question marks here. So you can click on question mark and it explains if you change this FY, FQ, so you can also get the quarterly data. So yeah, so that one. So quarterly ESG data, I haven't tried, but I know at UQ, CampusStat gives quarterly data. So sometimes, despite the ESG data doesn't change, you still want to use the quarterly data because other variable of interest are changing and you want to bring it here. Yes, so again, use these question marks and there is a show more, few things here. This one is, I think, important. Treat as 0 if not available. This one is critical for research point of view. If it is NA not available, you will filter it out and it will be taken out from your sample. But if you treat as 0, then it's basically saying if 0 means poor ESG performance, so, and in reality, it is not the case for a company. Somehow the Refinitiv could not get that data and they have put the NA. But in reality, they might have better ESG and this is not picked up. Again, I asked one of my PhD students to clarify this with Refinitiv. We are still in contact to let us know if Refinitiv put NA, does it mean the company have no disclosure or the data is not available? Refinitiv could not extract that data. So what does it mean when Refinitiv put NA? So again, something for you to consider to clean your data. Okay, so in ESG score, I just added here FY 2022. It becomes 1 year ESG data. So then in the bottom here, I think it's not showing, but there is a yellow tab here. Click OK. So the ESG is being added the last column. So it's very quick. It's added there for all 500. How many companies we are working with? 400 plus. And then I click on the launch data item library. My recently used variable will be appearing here. No need for searching again. Click on it. So instead of 2022, I write 2021. So in that way, you have to repeat it for, I don't know if it will allow me. Yeah. My laptop screen is smaller. Yeah, it's nearly there. Click OK. Yeah, so 2 years have been added. So let's stick to 2 years for the sake of time. Instead of adding 3rd year, 4th year, just repetitive. So instead of FY 2021, use FY 2022. So now from this, one by one pulling of the data, we are sure that this FY 2022 contains the financial year 2020, fiscal year 2022 data. It doesn't have the mixing up together. Okay, so that's it for the 2 years data. So now you can also work with this report. You can drop any columns. For example, QSIP code, there is a cross here. You can cross that. Now it's gone. Adding is time taking, but deleting is easy. Okay, so, and you can move around these columns, just pick that up and drop it where you want it, and it will move through if it works well. So just keep bringing it to the here. So it is easy to move. And other than that, the strategy that I wanted to give it to you to save time. You can see if you have 20 variables in your regression model and you have 20 years of data. So you have to do this for ESG for 20 years, for all 20 variables for 20 years. And if you do it for US firms, you might have to do it, if this is a global data, You might have to redo it for European firm, for Asian firm, for Chinese firms, and so on and so forth. So how you can save this time? So you can save this time. So once you have set up this one by one, so I say easy, tough time now, easy time later. So easy time now, tough time later. So initially maybe tough time, you keep adding, but then you can reuse it for any list of companies. So let's say you have added 20 variables for 20 years. There's so many columns. And there is a save here. You can save this template. You can say ESG 2024, or you can customize it. And you can say, it says, why it's saying. Okay, so it's saying screen is unsaved. So we want to save the 24. So I think it's saying that you need to save this screen. So because here we have added US firms and we have excluded financial firms, you might have added 10 more filters. So you don't want to repeat those filters again. For US firms, you can save this screen. You can say US non-financials, or any name that works for you. Save it. So now your list with the filters, here we have 1 filters, you might have 10 filters, is already stored. So next time you come to the workspace, you click on this drop down, that US non-financial is appearing here. So you then don't need to select US list, you know that you have to click on edit and then 3 dots, then FR, and then you search. That steps you don't need to repeat. And you don't need to add the filters. Okay, so that screen is here. And then this template. So now we are able to save the template. Let's say all variables for your research 2024. Here we have ESG, but I'm assuming we have done for all the variables we are interested in. Click save. And next time you come to the workspace, it will be empty. You have your saved screen, or you bring new screen for new companies. From the drop down, you select that template. You see I have different templates here. So you select this template, all variables 2024, all the 20 variables for 20 years will be coming here. So one time you do it, you can reuse it again and again for your purpose. And for extracting it in the Excel, so it says here, extract as values. Normally I follow this because formulas, if something change, can change the numbers. So if I click on it, enable. So now the data identifier, company name, ISIN code, kicks, industry name, 1 variable for 2 years, 20 variables for 20 years. Simply repeat this step and change the list as per your interest following the same step. Okay, I think that's pretty much. There are some. Yeah.
Question, if you go back to the Excel.
Yep.
And so how do you sort out those like overlapping years? I mean, like those mixed up years here, or is that?
So this is 2022.
Because it's already put in fiscal year
2020.
Ah,
So now
okay.
it's not mixed up. So if you go for series, then there will mix up.
That's what the was.
Yeah, so there is a mix up. Then you can bring in the calculation date, and then for each company, even FY0, it will show the calculation date.
Okay.
And from there, you can identify, is it 2021 or 2022? I normally don't recommend, because in that sorting, if you have to do it manually, that's not recommended. If you can use some program, you can use that to make it happen.
So you can say Excel, and then so there will be a code. So it's a formula for these 2 numbers. So you will be able to get drag it. So let's say from 2022, 2021,
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, so that might work. So if you export as formulas, I haven't tried it. That might fix the issue. So export as formulas, that might work. So you may have formulas here, and you may want to drag it. Yeah, you just put the names here and may want to use the formula for drag it. I think it should work. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll try that. Yeah.
In the past,
Yeah.
DataStream or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a very good point. As formulas. Okay, so it's good. Yes, we are done with this download. Let's go back to the guide, the workshop plan. So the next step from after you extract the data in Excel, which was appearing, you need to reshape it into panel format. So again, for the time sake, I'm not going into that exercise, but there is a YouTube tutorial I have given. So you can watch that. It's very easy. If one code you need, and you can reshape it into a panel format ready for your analysis. And I have just put two extra examples just for you to confirm that you can extract this information. So now if let's say we have to extract information for European firms, environmental score, not ESG score, environmental score, fiscal year the same. Or we have to collect the data from Screener app, governance score for GCC firms, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United States, for the same 3 fiscal year. Can I get some nods? You can repeat these steps. The first thing, launch the Screener app, get the FR list relevant to European companies or GCC companies, and then download the ESG environmental score and governance score one by one, putting FY 2022, 2020, 2021. Should it be fine? Okay, so just give it a try. Practice makes a man perfect, even woman as well. I think now I should not discriminate. Okay, so these are the 3 examples. I think I'm skipping this one, DataStream request table. This is an excellent tool. I just show where this method is available. So you see the workspace is already, the tab is appearing here. Can you see the workspace in my Excel? Because the workspace is installed. So it says offline. I just click on it. It should make it online. Here it asks me to enter username and password. Yeah, so it's asking me. Yeah, it's okay. So this is the Excel heading. So the first example was through the web browser, Screener app. And this one is, hopefully it will connect. And Screener is also accessible through Excel ID. I'll show, yeah. So it has now brought all the features. You see Screener here. So if you click on this Screener, it will open a dialog box where you can see the Screener app. You can also work it here. It's up to you. And it has build formula, some templates, list, app library, Screener. But the one that I want to show under DataStream, this is what I was saying. LSEG Workspace have DataStream embedded in it. So if you want to extract data from DataStream only, not from other linked sources, you click on it, DataStream. So it has sub functionalities. You can use the DataStream formula. The one that I want to apply now, I refer you to apply, is a new request table. If I click on it, the new request table has been added, opened. So you can save it. Don't lose the data after the hard work. I'm just putting no because I'm not saving it. I'm not doing anything. So now there are requests you can put here based on adding different queries. So update, request type, format, series lookup, data stream, data type, expression. So here series lookup, you first need to identify the list for a particular country. So if you identify it, and how you identify it, if you click on this find series, it will open a new dialog box. In that, you can then search for the relevant series. I'm not going to demonstrate it. I'm going to show you some videos which you can follow later on. Yeah, so I'm going to just cancel it. So first, so if you identify the list from here and the data type from here, you again click on this data type. You can search for ESG, environmental, social. New dialog box is open. You can bring the data type. And you can select the format and type of your request and the sample period. Sample period here, start date, end date. You can put your particular dates from start to end, and frequency, yearly, weekly, quarterly, and so on and so forth. And then you can say, where do you want data to be exported? And once you have said that, there is a process table. You click on it after entering all the query information. You process table, then a new sheet or wherever you say data should be exported, you will see the data is there. Okay, so if you want to understand this process in detail, I have elaborated it here, what you need to do based on our example. Step-by-step procedure is there. But if you want a video demonstration, then there are two videos available, data extraction. First, you extract the data, and second video is how you reshape it. Now, reshaping from Screener app is different, and reshaping of the data from the new request table is different. So they have different way to extract the data, and it requires different way to reshape it into panel format. And I have added here a screenshot. If I have to extract ESG data for S&P 500 firms, so here is the list code. I put the format, two different requests. One is the TSL time series list, and second is the S static. Static is for unique identifier, ISIN code, company name, industry. So any static data, you need to put static here. Any time series which change over time, like ESG score, any variable which change variable, the constant is basically static. The variables, you have to put TSL. If you don't put it appropriately, it will give error. So your request will not work. For TSL, because I was interested in ESG data 2020 to 2022 yearly, it was extracted in sheet 1. All the data was exported. And then you see I put no in the first. Because for the second request, if I keep the here yes, when I process the table, the Excel will process both requests. So if I'm satisfied with the first request, I can change it from yes to no, so that this my first request is not updated. But if you have 6 requests in Excel and you are happy with the 5 requests, you don't want to redo it, it takes a long time. So I put no here. Otherwise, if you do it first time, it is yes. Then this is the static request. I think this is the ISIN code, company name, and industry code. And for static requests, you don't need from year to year. You just need to put latest value. And it says here in the description, latest value for static. And you don't need frequency. You put it in the Excel, and the Excel will export the data. I have also set it up in the Excel file here. You can see this one, DataStream request table. I'll send it to Calvin, and he can share the fielding template for later use. But otherwise, these videos should be helpful. Okay, so this one, DataStream frequency, DataStream formula. If someone have ISIN codes for several firms, how can that person download ESG data for those specific firms? So that was the question that I was raising. So let's pick some of the ISIN codes. I don't know if you still have, I think we downloaded the ISIN codes. Yeah, so they are ISIN codes. So I'm just assuming, so you have random ISIN codes, or you have ISIN codes for specific companies from another data source, and you only need ESG data for those companies. So I can just select this one, and I can bring it here. So now for these ISIN codes, you need ESG data. So for that, the function that works under DataStream, there is a DataStream formula. If I click on this DataStream formula, so now interestingly, this DataStream formula page here, it works. The user interface is exactly the same as it was for Refinitiv Eikon, the older product. So if you are familiar with the Refinitiv Eikon, then if you want to use the same for your data download in LSEG Workspace, then this is a function which you can use. Again, in the first, you can bring the list. You see here, this filter, find series. You can click on it. You want to see FTSE 100 firms, ASX 300, S&P 500. You can click on it and you can search for those lists. And the list name will appear here. And then you can download the data for that. But for us, we are interested in just the codes that we have here. So let's say from here to here, just click select. So now series is from cell A2 to A9. I need the data for those forms only. So I've selected that. And then it says time series for each item in the list. This one is not relevant because our one is not the list. If it is list code for ASX 300, S&P 500, then I have to click on it because I need data for each item in the list. Okay, each security in the list. But for us, it is not relevant. We can keep as it is. Then other things, it also says what symbology you need at the identifier, DataStream or RIC. And then equities, you can see there are other as well. I need equities. And the data type, you can either launch the data library and search the data there. Alternatively, you can put ESG And let's add score. And we'll give some suggestions. It's loading. ESG score. You see this ESG score time series. This is the one I need. And click on it. So now the code has been added. Yeah, this is TRESGS. So TR stands for something Thomson Reuters, maybe older code. ESG, and S for score. So if you know those codes, you may write codes here. You may have your Excel spreadsheet where you have the codes. You can copy and paste here. So you don't need to search one by one. And here you can add the frequency. As we know from 2020, you can also add years. You can add calendar date. You can also say FY-2, FY-3. It will work. So you can see different outputs based on that. And we need the yearly data. So we are done with this. I don't think other things are relevant. These are by default. Let's say we also want transpose the data. I think pretty much other things you can try on your own. If we click insert, oh, it crashed. Missing identifier. Yeah, somehow it has taken out, but normally it works. So it's okay. I think we don't have time to go into details. But normally, if you have the ISIN codes, follow these steps that the data for those ISIN codes for the variable of your interest for those sample periods should be downloaded. Okay, so that's, I think, pretty much. There is another function here, build formula, which you can explore on your own, but you just click on it so that you can have a look how it look like. So again, you have to add your instruments, and then you have to search for the data, and then you add some parameters, layouts. It will also give you the data extraction. So you can try on your own. Okay, so let's go back to the workshop plan. So this is the one. It works. So this was the manual that I was referring. And this manual is with my PhD students. As I said, 5 of my PhD students, they joined my team to come up with this guide. And here's the guide. I just show you the PDF file. So it works fine for Refinitiv Eikon. It doesn't work well for Workspace because Workspace is, they have changed slightly. So if I go down, it has features, installing Refinitiv, add-on, different things and different ways, and including the reshaping of the data. It has all the screenshots, which we have tried and tested on the Eikon. Everything was working. We also asked independent users to test, give feedback, and we have integrated everything. So it works well. All the screenshots are there. I might come up with similar training manual for the Refinitiv Workspace. I know videos are there, but sometimes you need, some people want to put the printed or the process there and they can follow. And some may prefer the video over the manual. So that will be there. Yeah. Yeah, so that could be something that could be explored. So at the bottom, I think this is something I feel that we as senior academics might pursue. So I asked my PhD student to put the credit statement. What is my contribution? Because later on, I think that becomes challenging as you progress in your career. Not for a PhD student, because most of your paper, you're the first author, you're corresponding author, or sometimes supervisors may have a policy of alphabetical order. And then you can clearly say in the paper somewhere it's alphabetical order. But as you climb up the ladder, the contributions become very important. What is your impact? If you're not first author, how you led the project. Maybe it was with the PhD student, you mentored and advised. Again, for PhD students, it's a long-term journey. But when I was PhD student, never paid attention to these things. But as you become early career researcher and you progress in your career, you start feeling that the leadership in research is required and your impact and things like that. So you have documented it. My purpose from this documentation was to allow my PhD students to have public recognition of their work. So now if they apply for the job, so their names on this public document in one of my YouTube video, it's there. If they apply for the job, they can say, we were part of this team where we worked together, and they can put a good story to address the selection criteria. And my own strategy, why I initiated this, what is the reflection, and what I see the future of it. And I encouraged through this reflection, all PhD students may find opportunities to bring different PhD students together, given the challenges as well, because when students come together, either you are leading those supervisions, you can engage them, If you bring other students, then you may upset your colleagues. So it has to be a culture that we can create where we can have more collaborative manuals like this. I did PhD, I used Circa database and Morningstar. Later on, I started using Bloomberg, and then I started using Refinitiv in my job. So now, if I leave UOW, and if I'm the only person, I just use an example of someone else. Someone else is expert in Refinitiv. They have used it in their research, and that person leaves. The institutional memory is taken with that person. We don't have anything. So new person comes, again spend the same time. So can we save that time? That's my ideology. Can we save that time? We can create some manuals, and if people move on, we still have that guide available. If my new PhD student comes, I can say, refer to my tutorials, I look at this guide, and come back after a couple of weeks with your queries. Other scenario, I sit with the student and say, okay, what are your issues? Let me solve it for you. So the first approach is better, where it saves my time and give independence to the student. Second option, my time is gone as a supervisor and student become dependent on me. And in PhD supervision, a PhD student, one of the output we want to achieve is to make you independent researcher. So some of you might be already quite independent. Some of you may be more dependent. By the end of your PhD, we want to ensure you all have independence. I think we have just 4 minutes left. Let me see if there is anything. Screenings, you can have your predefined screens. It can be governance screens. It can be environmental screens. It can be social screens. Like all social indicators, Refinitiv may have 50 plus indicators. You can set some indicators and you can come to the screener app and you can screen those companies only which meet those criteria. I have saved those screens. Now we know how to save screens. But before that, manually, I added the filters by searching here. For example, board diversity. I search for it. Doesn't come anything. Maybe it's sleeping now. It says you have to re-log in. Let's click here. I might skip this one because the sustainable finance data, I think that one is more interesting. Just show the screen that I have saved, then we will move on. So the screen that I have saved, here, social screen. So I identified few parameters which are in the Word file. I saved it for future use. Do not save the previous one. So now you see all the screens are here that I was interested in. Now, based on those screens, I want the companies in Australia that meet those social performance criteria. Yeah, it's taking time. But once it is processed, only the companies that meet my criteria will appear there. Okay, so let's leave it for a while. Okay, so you can screen companies based on predefined criteria using this screener app. Okay, so this one, the sustainable finance data, green social sustainability linked bonds and loans. Very simple. You launch the screener app. Then in the universe section, instead of public companies, select the deals. And then apply the filters that you want: green, social, sustainability, and sustainability linked bonds as a transaction type. So that's the data point, transaction type. And then you can add, you want it for Australian market, the target, and the issuer should be in the Australian market as well. We put some criteria. Now I have done that screen. Let's see if that one is a bit more quicker. Yeah, GSSS bonds, green, social, sustainability, and sustainability linked bonds. Yeah, the social screen has already been loaded. So I have added those screens. You see these filters: target market, transaction type, and issuer borrower nation. And I added them manually by searching in the add filter. So now based on that, how many bonds coming in this category? So So these are the bond transaction in those categories that are appearing here. So if I just do it like this, yeah, it is by default their standard output. But if you want to add more information about these GSSS bonds, you can again launch the data item library, and you can see if there are more features and characteristics of these transactions available in Refinitiv. You see the deal features, new issues, and it has heaps of information which you can add, management and fees, and keep adding there, and then you can use it. Okay, and you can extract it using this Excel in the Excel file. For the loans, so you just need to move from keep deals as it is. Instead of bonds, you go to loans. And then you can work on the loan transactions. And I have saved this screen for loans. I don't, yeah, this one for my subject. I demonstrate it in my class, the coursework students, just to pick case studies and see what kind of loan transactions in green, social, and sustainability linked loans. So that again, social, green, sustainability linked loans, I think the market is not added. We can add Australian market to streamline it. And then we can export the Excel file as well. I think that's pretty much. There are other apps which I encourage you to explore on your own. As I was saying in the start, there is an app, Sustainable Finance and Investment homepage. Just go here and search here. Yeah, Sustainable Finance and Investment homepage. I searched in the search bar the first option. So I click on it. Anything Refinitiv have on sustainability is consolidated in this app. Overview, so you can see a lot of information here. I think it has heap, so a lot of potential for teaching and research. They have solutions, like I just say ESG. If I search company ESG, the one that we tried, ESG statement view, this one, ESG statement. So it is also coming from here. Anything on ESG, they have any apps, they are coming with my search under the solutions. So that's, I'm going up. I think it has heap. You can search for any other private equity data on ESG if something comes up. There are resources. You can also have a look at that. This one I looked before a couple of days. Climate physical risk exposure scores. They are available. Can they be downloaded in bulk? I'm not sure. I haven't tried. Maybe you can explore. Company climate data. Yeah, that's available here. Things like that. And then about us, they have some information about Refinitiv. Okay, so then sustainable finance review. You just copy this one and search it in the screen in the LSEG Workspace or Refinitiv Workspace. It will bring this information. For Islamic finance, it will bring this information. See if some data on faiths of different countries is also available, like Christian, the Hinduism or other. I am aware of Islamic, but there might be a Buddhist as well. So just have a look if there are something. And then ESG templates, predefined templates available. You can search for them. And it is available through Excel template. I just show where it is. So under the workspace, somehow because it went offline, if you convert it into online, it should be appearing templates. So predefined number of templates, not only ESG, but there are many other M&A templates, loan transaction templates. So it has predefined company, but if you change the company name or ticker, automatically that template will bring the data because it has formulas, everything there. And finally, before we touch 5 p.m., Refinitiv Workspace certification. If you want to understand everything about LSEG, you want to get started, I think this is the best way to start with. It gives you certification. I did the Bloomberg Market Concept certification when I was doing PhD, but I haven't done this LSEG certification. Couple of my PhD students have done it. I encourage my coursework students to do it. It was just recommended. 3 students have done it out of 90. And I'm now thinking from next year, I intuitively integrate in weekly tutorials and weekly lectures and make it compulsory as part of their group assignment. They have to demonstrate they have done it. I don't know how students are going to take it, but I want to make sure that my support is there. I provide them resources and I leave it to them to take it from there. So I think with that, the workshop has completed. Just quickly, my experience with Refinitiv Workspace so far on my YouTube channel, different videos available. How much audience they have reached so far. Mohak is sitting here. I don't know if he found me in India or once he came here.
No, I found it.
So he was in India when he found me. So you see, India is one of the, you are one of them. So one of these 4,502, one is Mohak. And in Australia is the top, United Kingdom and other. And there are 50 plus countries where it has reached. And then there is a university, SOAS, University of London. They have adopted my tutorials and they have listed it on their website. It's QS 504 University, but that is something that I feel privileged that they have hosted it on their webpage. If I just scroll down, just a bit down here. So the YouTube videos of me, is there any statement view? No. So they have green bond data, how to download ESG data for a company and explore sustainable finance, that app. Everything about sustainability, that app is covered here. But interestingly, they have older version when I recorded it. So now they have moved it to a different version. So, but still it covers everything there.
Because I don't have a YouTube account, but I normally just search what I want to watch.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not a follower,
Yeah.
I can't see all of the videos, right?
I
Or
think,
can see all of the
yeah,
videos.
following is not required to watch a video, but login, I'm not sure if you need to log in. You can log in, you can watch without the login. You don't need login.
But I don't think I watched your videos, but I'm not the follower because
That's
I don't
okay.
have a YouTube account.
That's okay.
But I don't think that I can, I'm not sure I can watch the whole complete set of your videos about ESG.
Maybe.
You can.
You can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
That's all I watch.
Yeah.